G'day guys, welcome to another Pink Panther video with some AFL23 content. Tonight's patch is out on Monday night. Tactics are now in the game. You can change them in the game. There's a few options out there. Let's take a closer look at them now. Alright, so to access your tactics in game, the game starts, hit pause, and you will now see a tactics option down here below. Now it is worth mentioning straight away that the tactics will be on the D-pad as a quick change tactic very shortly, so all of these will be accessible. Ross confirmed in the stream tonight, and there will also be more tactics to come. So this is kind of their first iteration of tactics, making sure it all works okay and it's all functioning as it should. And then once we get that down pat and everyone's using it okay, then they'll start to introduce more. So yeah, it should be a bit more depth to go. So having a look at the tactics we've got on offer for your forwards, you can either be balanced, which is what we would have had from the start of time. High, so you've got four forwards up high and you've got your full forward playing deep. Low, when you just reverse that, you've got one forward sitting at the top of the 50 and four sitting deeper. And back to balanced midfield. So you've got balanced midfield, which is again what we had at the start, a mix of attacking and defense. Positioning will alter depending on your opponent's selection. Wings take a balanced approach. You've got attacking, an aggressive setup with 2 hit twos forward of the ball and 1 defensive sweeper. Wings position offensively. Formations are partially wings, alter depending on stoppage locations. So if you've got a dominant ruckman and you can hit the ball long over the top, you'll have some people in space ready to collect and go. And you've got defensive, an approach based on making it more difficult for the opposition to cleanly take the ball away from the stoppage. Position changes based on your opponent's selection. Wings take up defensive positioning. Formations, partially wingers, alter depending on stoppage locations. So if you're trying to stem the flow, you can switch to this. And the good thing as well with this particular patch is tackling the opposition rovers and ruck rovers in from a centre bounce is a lot more responsive now. So I was finding prior to this patch that they could easily just tap it to whatever midfielder they want. I couldn't lay a tackle and they would just get an easy clearance, go forward and take a mark and have a shot on goal. Now you can actually lay the tackles and it does make a big difference. Play style, balance, which is what we all have been using. Player leading in movement has no direct focus. Leading will occur through both the corridor and wings. Backs will initially move wide for switching opportunities. Corridor, as you can see from the heat map, player leading in movement is more of a focus through the middle of the ground. Backs will initially move wide for switching opportunities. And wide, player leading in movement has more of a focus through the wings. Backs will initially move wide for switching opportunities. The one thing I've noticed with this as well is your opposition, the AI, do actually play different brands of football to counter what you're doing. So I've noticed on hard and hardest difficulties that the AI have been actually switching it back across their defensive 50 to open up the other side of the ground to counteract my tactics, which has been kind of cool. And you've got balanced. So for defending, you can go man on man, which visually seemed to work very well, which was good. You've got a partial zone where the forwards and wings will set up a formation that shifts with the ball. Remaining players focus on staying with their direct opponent. And you've got a full zone, full ground press, full team formation that shifts with the ball. Key defenders will drop out of formation and man up on the key forwards once the ball approaches the middle of the ground. Now, the one thing I noticed with this was there was a bit more of a cluster of players just above the top of the goal square, and Ross did mention that they are going to be fine-tuning and tweaking the play positions for the zone in the next patch coming out in the next day or two. So it is something they're aware of for those who do pick the zone. That was probably the biggest issue I had with it, and with the zone in particular, once players are kind of out of position like that, it can sort of fall apart. So once they get that fixed, it might be an effective defending mechanism. For the kickouts, balanced, we've obviously got the huddle. The old school huddle is back. This was a favourite of mine. I used this a few times tonight. And when you've got the point of view from your defender kicking out, you can see everyone splitting off to the sides at all angles, and you can run, bomb it long, and away you go. So that was really cool to see. You got overload left, where a central group of players will all lead to the left side of the ground. This will create space to the right where the wings and back pockets will hold their position until the ball's disposed of. Overload right, so the same thing, but just on the flip side of the ground. And balanced. So a few different options there to use for your kick out technique too. So there you go, that's it for tonight for tactics. Like I said, there'll be more coming on this front in the next couple of days, and it's going to be coming to the D-pad so you can use it in-game. The tactics can be used in online games as well, but currently, because you can't really pause online games, it is quite difficult to do. So once it comes to the D-pad, that's when it's going to be more beneficial, and you can change tactics on the fly. So there you go. If you enjoyed that content, please make sure you subscribe and like and follow for more, and I'll see you on the next video.